Hello everyone, this is going to be a little bit of a different video from what I normally do. As of just a few minutes ago, a Nintendo Direct was announced for tomorrow. That's June 21st, 2023. So I just wanted to get a quick and dirty video out, go through some of my predictions, what we might see there. So I have my predictions divided up into three categories: safe bets, could-be's, and long shots. Safe bets are things I think we're probably going to see, like it would be more likely than not to see them. Things have been maybe rumored or already announced and they're just going to show off a few more times. Could-be's are a bit more likely than safe bets, stuff that I think is going to happen but maybe not at this event. And then long shots are pretty unlikely, still within the realm of possibility. Like, I'm not saying that Nintendo's going to put out an official Xbox 360 emulator or something. Stuff that, may happen one day, but is not super likely to be here. First off, for the safe bets, we have Everybody Want to Switch. This has been already announced. It's coming out very soon. I think they're just going to get a final marketing push here and bring it out in this direct. Similar vein is Pikmin 4. Again, that's coming out pretty soon. They're going to show it off again. Maybe they'll have a few more trailers before launch, but we pretty much know what we're getting with it. Next is this Persona 3 Reload. This has been announced for every platform but Switch. If this game does not come to Switch, there's a major problem. With Atlas, I don't know why they wouldn't put on the Switch. The only thing I can think of is maybe they're waiting for the Switch 2 instead. This game is coming out next year, so they have time. If we see a new Switch in the holiday of 2024, this could be, a launch window title or a launch title. That might be more fitting, depending on how hard this game is to run. Next is the Baten Kaitos remaster. This is a remaster of the first two games on the GameCube. I'm not super familiar with them, but they are announced. They're coming out, I believe, in September. So I think we'll probably see another trailer here, maybe go through a few details for that. So I would expect us to see that here. And then last up, what I got for the safe bets is the Mario Kart 8 DLC. I think we're gonna see another wave of this. I would expect us to get another character announced too, because they put Birdo in the last one. My hope, and I think most likely expectation, would be Diddy Kong, but I'd also like to see, maybe someone like Rob, maybe a more obscure Mario character like Toadsworth, although Toadsworth is not in anything anymore. Or maybe it could be, Link with his Tears of the Kingdom outfit. I think that also is pretty likely. Next, we are going into the could-be's, so these are more unlikely than the safe bets, but they're not total long shots. First up for this one is the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1. That's the first three Metal Gear Solid games. There's really no reason why this shouldn't come to Switch. These are PS2 games. They've been ported to the PS4 and the Xbox already, so it's just a matter of time before they end up on a Nintendo console. But at the same time, Konami does weird things sometimes. We still never got Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the Switch, which seems like a perfect fit, but we could see that here. I think that there's a good chance of that. Next on the list, I've got Metroid Prime 4, which I know is kind of a sore topic with a lot of Nintendo fans just because it's been so long since it was announced and then eventually rebooted. But I think given the release of the Metroid Prime remaster earlier this year, we know that they were sitting on that for a while, and I think that they were waiting to release it to drum up hype for the Metroid series in general, and then that will lead into the release of Metroid Prime 4, which I would expect us to see holiday this year, maybe first quarter 2024, but I have pretty good feeling that we're gonna see Metroid Prime 4 release this holiday. I'm hoping, at least. In a similar vein, I think we could see Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remasters. The rumor going around for these is that they're not as full-fledged of like remakes or remasters as the Prime 1. They might just be, upscaled, boosted the frames, who knows, maybe a bit of texture work or polygon work. I feel like these would probably be dropped in a double pack, probably only a digital release, which would be disappointing. But I think there's a pretty good chance we see these here, or at least in the very near future. Similar to this, another thing that we've heard about for a while, but has still not come out, is Wind Waker and Twilight Princess remasters on the Switch. Of course, they're on the Wii U. No one played them there because no one had a Wii U. so I think that the Switch would be a good place for them. We are still pretty fresh off of the Tears of the Kingdom release, so it might be a bit soon for them. This might be the kind of thing they just like shadow drop in like October and, you know, just to put it out on digital just to get a Zelda game out in the fall. I think that could also be pretty likely, but I think it would make sense for them to announce it here. Still in the Zelda vein, I think we are likely going to see Tears of the Kingdom DLC announced here. It might seem soon after the launch, because that was only, a month ago? But you have to remember that the Breath of the Wild DLC was actually announced before the game released, so we're actually a bit behind in the timeline if we're going to see that. In terms of what the DLC could be, it could be like we saw with the Breath of the Wild DLC, where it's a bit more minor, just like a new mode or some extra items and stuff. What I would really like to see with the Tears of the Kingdom DLC would be maybe like another chunk of the map added on. I think an easy way for them to add more space on the map would just be to drop some sky islands onto it. It wouldn't mess up the current world at all. You just take some of the empty space that's in the sky in Tears of the Kingdom now, add a few more islands, put some story there, put some maybe new Zonai devices, which could be interesting. I think that would make a lot of sense for Tears of the Kingdom, just to keep the momentum for it going. Also, what I think we could see here as it could be is a new 2D Mario game. This has been rumored a lot lately. I don't think it'll be part of the new Super Mario Brothers series. I think that series has had its time in the sun. People enjoyed it for what it was, but it's time to move on. You can't name things new Super Mario Brothers when the first game came out in like 2004. That's not new anymore. So I'd be very interested to see what a new 2D Mario game looks like in 2023, because they could really change up the art style. They could even go back to like a pixel graphics kind of thing. I think that could be cool. Of course, Mario is the king of 2D platformers, and there's more 2D platformers than ever right now, with a lot of indie games released. It would be really interesting to see what 2D Mario's place is in the current gaming landscape. Also, sort of similarly, I think we could see a new 2D Yoshi game. The last one was Yoshi's Crafted World, which was in 2019, so you don't need 4 years to make one of those games. Yoshi's Crafted World was okay. It's not really that worth playing, but they seem to always be coming out with a new 2D Yoshi game every few years, so I think we're probably on schedule for that. Now, moving into the Longshots, finally. So these are things that are probably not going to happen. They might not ever happen, but there is still a small chance of them happening one day, whether it's at this Direct or in a future event. First up is a F-Zero GX port. This has been rumored a lot lately by some credible people, I believe. You see these kind of rumors come around like every 3 months. I feel like there's a rumor or a leak for a new F-Zero game or a port of an F-Zero game, and they just never come to fruition. This round of rumors seems a little bit more credible than ones in the past, because sometimes you'll just see like, oh, a trademark is renewed for F-Zero, and that means that Nintendo's making a new F-Zero game. No, it never does. If you look through any of those old news stories about trademarks renewing, they've literally never led to a new game. So could we see that? Yeah, maybe. I think it would make sense to put F-Zero GX on the Switch just as a digital release. You put online play on it. Probably would not take that much development time or money, but it's F-Zero. It is a franchise that gets very little attention from Nintendo aside from Captain Falcon being in Smash Brothers. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a lot of wishful thinking, but you never know. Continuing on with these remaster rumors that we've seen, another one that I've heard is a Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remaster, which I would really love to see because that's a fantastic game. I think it would make a lot of sense for Nintendo to do it because there's a lot of love for that game. It's hard to come by these days, and it's just a really solid game overall. I would hope that it's more of a straightforward port, some upscaling and some texture work versus a remake like we saw with the Mario and Luigi games on the 3DS, because those really took a lot of the unique aspects of those games and dumbed them down, which could very well happen if it's a full remake of Thousand Year Door, because there's a lot of unique enemy designs and interesting ideas in that game that Nintendo just doesn't seem to want to acknowledge anymore, which is very unfortunate. So I hope if we do get it, it's not in the like new Paper Mario art style with the white outlines on everything, and every character is either a generic Toad or a generic Goomba. That would would be really, really disappointing. Be a real monkey's paw moment for Paper Mario fans, but I guess we'll see what happens. Continuing on with the Mario remasters, another thing that's been rumored that I don't think is super credible is a Super Mario RPG remaster, which I don't see that happening. I guess anything's possible, but I don't think that would make sense. I think that we could very easily see a release of the original game on the SNES Online. That would make sense. And maybe, that could be the source of these rumors. As leaks and rumors go sort of through the telephone of different information givers, things can get exaggerated. So I think that's what's more likely for this game. I don't think a remake of it would make that much sense. They could do like the HD 2D art style for Octopath Traveler that they've done, which would be very cool. I'd like to see that, but I think you shouldn't get your hopes up for that. One more remaster that I haven't seen really rumored, but is something I would personally like to see, and I think we are going to see one day, is a re-release of Donkey Kong Country Returns, which of course was on the Wii and then the 3DS. That game really does not deserve to be stuck on the Wii and 3DS. It's such a good game. Tropical Freeze is equally amazing, but it deserves to be able to be played on the Switch in HD, in 60 frames per second, with no motion controls. There's not a definitive version for that game, which is kind of the problem, because the Wii version was in 60 frames, but you have to use the motion controls. 3DS version, you don't have to use motion controls, but it's at 30. So you don't really have a perfect option to play it, and the Switch could be the solution for that. There's also been rumors starting from a while back on a new 2D Donkey Kong game. Not a Donkey Kong Country game, but a just new 2D Donkey Kong game. I think from the Super Mario Odyssey team, which sounds a bit weird, but I think that could happen one day. That seems like the kind of game that Nintendo would make, finish, and then just sit on and wait for the right time, which I think now could be the right time. So we'll see what happens with that. Finally, one last long shot prediction. Again, this is not something that was rumored, but it's something that I think is gonna happen at some point. New 3D Mario game. So Super Mario Odyssey released in 2017, a few months after Breath of the Wild. Now we're moving past Tears of the Kingdom. Odyssey team has not really put out anything in a long time, so they gotta have something. And I don't think a new 3D Mario game is necessarily the type of game that they would sit on for a long time, waiting for the right time to release it. I think any time is a good time to release a new 3D Mario game. I think a couple months ago when the new Mario movie came out, that would have been a good time to release a new 3D Mario game or a 2D game, but they haven't yet, so we're gonna have to see what happens. A new 3D Mario game could very well be a Switch 2 launch game or launch window game. That would make a lot of sense, give it a really big boost right out of the gate, sort of like Breath of the Wild did with the Switch. But the thing is, I think we're not seeing a Switch successor this year. I think holiday 2024 is likely when we'll see it. Maybe like March 2024 at the earliest, sort of replicating how the Switch launched. So we'll see. Maybe it could happen today. I would like to see it. I would like to see, Odyssey 2 or something completely different, because I think that team is very creative and I'm a big fan of all the 3D Mario games. So one day that will happen. One day there will be a new 3D Mario game. Probably won't be today, but it will happen eventually. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. I can't wait to see how wrong I am about all these predictions. And then, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Direct. Thank you.